At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Unfiltered discussions. Unexpected guests. No topic is off limits, from sex and relationships to the human condition, personal anxieties, and so much more. The only talk show of its kind in the world. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Welcome to The Last Show. I'm Caitlin Green in for David Cooper, and tonight we are going to discuss why Travis Kelce's dad has suddenly become headline news in the middle of Taylor Swift and Travis's engagement. You're also going to learn how to have healthier, less stressful conversations about money with your partner. And we'll look at why those stark minimalist interiors are on the way out and why grandma core might be taking over your living room. Plus, it's Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday with lots of advice from a licensed professional on how to handle the stress of back-to-school season. But joining now from across the pond, of course, is our beloved UK correspondent Tony Five. Tony, I heard you're a Swiftie.
Well, I am, but just to talk about what we spoke about just now, David actually is in Burning Man amongst, I will only say, bodily fluids, right?
Yeah.
Just horrific bodily fluids. He's paid to do that, by the way. Caitlin and all the listeners listen. He actually has paid to go. It's not some sort of punishment from the radio shows. He's paid to go. There's been howling winds and all sorts of disasters, and yeah, David's going to be front line. I'm here like you in sanitation, which is lovely. But yes, to return to your question, I am indeed a Swiftie. I am Taylor mad. I think she's wonderful. I think Travis is wonderful. I cried when I saw, their sort of announcement. It was wonderful. It was beautiful, and I'm hoping me and you can go.
Okay, so I am not a Swiftie.
Right.
I like Taylor Swift a lot. I love her as a businesswoman, as a public figure, as inspiration and pillar of strength in kind of a morally corrupt business. So I'm a huge fan of her, but I don't turn on her music that much. This is the thing, because I don't know why. I really liked her song Karma, and there are certain songs, but maybe it's because I used to work for a radio station that played almost exclusively Taylor Swift songs on a loop.
Heavy rotation, like really heavy rotation. Okay.
Yeah, and I think sort of the manufactured excitement around every single release and every piece of news, it like tired me of that. And so I think I've come to appreciate her more as a public figure and as a businesswoman and as somebody who is very good at protecting her craft and her artistry and sort of taking care of other artists and people around her. I think that to me is sort of like the legacy she has in my life. But I was pretty darn excited for her as well when she got engaged, because in addition to going through the ringer about the rights to her songs and just the way she's been portrayed in the media, she also has gone through the ringer in her love life. Like she's dated some guys who I think really were either intimidated by her fame or they didn't get what she's all about. And so they kept their relationship very, very secretive. And it was almost like they were too good. Like, we're a real artist. I'm the lead singer of a quote unquote real band. I'm an artiste actor. I want to win an Academy Award, so I can't be known as Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Travis Kelce does not have that. He is so confident. He is so filled with joy and excitement about being partnered with her and still having his own life and his own career that he has just stepped foot right in it. Like, he will be on camera with her. She's on his podcast. They release photos together. Like, it's the first man I've really seen kind of take her arm publicly and say, I'm good with this. And that tickles me.
Well, that's amazing. Well, I did go out with her in the late 2000s. She was lovely.
You did?
Yeah, we used to spend a lot of time at McDonald's and Happy Meals, and I believe most of her songs are about me.
Oh, and it just didn't work out for you guys.
It just didn't work out. Yeah, she was, I think she found it quite awe-inspiring that I was on the show with David Cooper. And she couldn't handle that level of fame. She didn't want to be number 2. And
she was intimidated by your success and by the success of the show. I think that's really
by my greatness. I think you'll find, Caitlin. But
it's hard for me too, Tony. It really is.
We've moved on. Yeah, we've moved on. We can talk about it now. It was very painful for a long time. For a long time, when I heard about her, I first heard about her when Kanye West jumped the stage. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And
yes, of course.
And that was hilarious. Something about Beyonce, that insanity. And then for a long, I forgot about her. And then when I heard about this whole, everybody's going for Taylor, I got confused between her and Taylor Lautner, who was the guy from Twilight.
Who she also dated.
Right? And then obviously she was in other songs and other films and stuff. And she played a very funny film. I think it was Valentine's Day or one of those films.
Yeah. One of those big ensemble rom-coms.
Yeah, like a big trashy, kind of silly, funny, loads of people just throw themselves into it for the paycheck. And she was kind of ditzy in that, right? And I thought, brilliant. Yeah, I quite liked her. Then I started listening to her music. It's catchy. It's catchy the way that ABBA's catchy, right? It's kind of... Yeah, I can put it loud, like in my car, but the windows have to be up. Right, as soon as the window comes down, it's hardcore R&B. The head's bopping, but like in a traffic light, my windows will go up. There's a little bit of love story going on. There's, there's some stuff going on like that. Yeah, exactly.
I was just gonna say, what's your track? But now I know.
Yeah, it's got to be love story, girl. Yeah, but I agree 100% with you. I think she's a strong, confident woman. I think men have been massively intimidated by her money. I think she was one of the first billion-dollar artists, wasn't she? And guys just didn't like. I think she jumped from Harry Styles, people like that, all these 2-bit performers who are part of an ensemble who think they're hugely famous and bounce from girl to girl, and she kind of didn't allow it. I don't know what her family's like but whatever, they've taught us some really strong moral guidelines, right? And I think she's a great role model to people, to girls. I've worn many of her outfits, and it's wonderful.
You just so don't fit the mold of a Taylor Swift fan, but any time in the year 2025 that a straight man will hold up his hand and say, I'm a Swiftie, it is a good thing. Because it breaks down the notion, like her being together with Travis Kelce and being on his podcast with Jason Kelce, like her role kind of in the NFL now, whether she imagined this for herself or not, I do think it really is good, because people should just be allowed to like whatever they like. Absolutely. And she doesn't have to be this lightning rod for gender commentary all the time. I think some of this stuff just sort of happens to her less than she invites it into her own life willingly. But she's very intelligent. I even appreciated the caption on the carousel of photos that both she and Travis shared. Yeah. She wrote, your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married.
Absolutely. Superb, right?
That.
Absolutely superb. Yeah. It's very intelligent. I think she's got a real brain in her, and she's, like you said, fantastic businesswoman, knows her market, and just makes her money. And I hope none of it goes to her head. I hope she has a long and fulfilling marriage. I'm on the wedding registry, Caitlin. What do you think I should get her?
I think you should get her something to do with her cats. So whatever is on her registry that has to do with her cats, I think she would really appreciate. Maybe some silver food bowls or
a cat litter tray.
And get a Union Jack going somewhere on there just to really drive home that this is from Tony Five, your ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, Caitlin, you know what? You're not only an expert professional, but in terms of wedding registry sort of selector, you're fantastic. I mean, is there no end to your skills?
No, there really isn't. She's got to not have a registry, though. She's not going to want a gift, I don't think. If you're Taylor and Travis, you can't in good conscience accept a gift. There's just no way.
What can you buy her? What can you buy him? The best looking couple who have got the most amount of money, who can actually afford anything they want for their wedding. What do you buy them?
You have to go with you. So what happens, I think, with these with couples who are very wealthy, and I somehow accidentally know a few and have been invited to their weddings, or had to or I've helped them. I've gone to a birthday party or whatever that looks like. You have to go back to a place of being a child, getting a gift for your parents. You have to tug exclusively at their heartstrings. You have to basically bust out the finger paints, make them a piece of art.
Something unique. Right.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. So it's the child buying the parent, of course. Caitlin, amazing.
Yeah.
So do you think I should go round their house and make them breakfast in bed?
Yeah, they would love that. And so would their security team.
Yeah.
You're really making them earn their salary.
Rock up to their bedroom, like with the worstly prepared breakfast. Can you imagine? And they're sitting in that, like, their 10-foot bed, and their random stranger comes up and he goes, "Guess what, guys?"
More with our UK correspondent, Tony Five, when we come back.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Most shows deliver serious news that you can use. As a point of differentiation, we give you news you can't use. The Last Show, with David Cooper and special foreign correspondent, Tony Five.
Welcome back to The Last Show. I'm Caitlin Green, sitting in for David Cooper, and I am joined by our UK correspondent, Tony Five. And we were just talking about his love and appreciation for Taylor Swift, who, of course, recently just announced her engagement. This has become huge trending news, broke the internet, etc. But a thing about celebrities that I am fascinated by is why we like the ones we do and why we dislike the ones we do. We have a very bizarre, sort of even at times unhealthy parasocial relationship with public figures. I am guilty of this behavior as well. I couldn't explain why I like and dislike the celebrities I do. I don't even know anything about them. And yet I will pay lots of money for their merchandise or for their concerts. I will buy their products, or I will tell people that I know that they're annoying and they probably look at me side-eyed. So this came up on a Reddit sub called Pop Culture Chat, and Redditors were all sharing the celebrities that they dislike for admittedly no good reason whatsoever. And I know we all have one. And Tony, because I know that you're a Swiftie, I would imagine that counter to who you like, Taylor, you have to have somebody that you don't really like.
It's got to be, and I still don't know why I don't like her, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I don't know why. Now, for a long time, I couldn't work out whether she was English or an American. I still don't know. The jury's still out. She went from being somebody... I remember there was a wonderful film called Sliding Doors. Do you remember that?
Love that movie. Love it.
It's such a beautiful movie, beautiful concept. The guy in it was just such a wonderful, wonderful movie. I thought, I'm going to like this woman. She's so good in it. And then she won an Oscar for Shakespeare in Love. Do you remember? Amazing.
Yeah, I do.
Her start, her projection was going amazing. And then she became insane. What happened? Why did she become this absolute lunatic? What did she do? And now... You know, we're not going to talk about the funny smelling stuff that she sells online or her, consciously uncoupling stuff. You know, she kind of made a name for herself by being unlikable. So I don't know many people out there who really like her. Every headline is about, okay, this is what she's doing weirdly now, rather than, oh no, she's a one. She probably does some amazing things. She's probably a lovely person, probably gives a lot to charity, but I just don't like her and I don't know why. And it upsets me greatly.
I have to say that I, too, have gone through a strange up and down relationship with the public image of Gwyneth Paltrow. And I do think, though, I've come back to a place of, I've settled on her being kind of iconic and loving her, even though I had a previous period of, like you, finding the goop of it all very annoying and manufactured, all kind of sort of like jumping on to the wellness train, the LA wellness train. it's not going to land well with everybody. And I don't think it landed that well with me. The conscious uncoupling, I think that kind of like flowery therapy language from public figures who you don't feel very sympathetic towards. Even if she's going through a tough divorce, I think a lot of people think, yeah, but you're so rich, who kind of cares? Like, how tough could it be? You're super rich and hot. So I think like that.
Hardly any sympathy for her, but I can't work out why. If you were to put her next to her peer, and I can't, like, let's say her peer would be somebody like Nicole Kidman, for example. There's immediately more love for someone like Nicole Kidman, who had like a famous husband and who has children and he does something. But you can't quite work out why you don't like Gwyneth Paltrow. It's very strange. It's like Marmite or like tomatoes v tomato ketchup.
Yes. I think what happened with Gwyneth, and if I had to, kind of play armchair judge on this one, it's that whenever you put yourself out there as an expert, which is sort of what was happening with her brand Goop. It was that she became a wellness expert. She became a beauty expert. When you put yourself out there as an expert, you leave yourself very open to criticism. And when you say, I have this perfectly arranged divorce, it drove people a bit crazy. One of her kids' names was Apple. Everyone's going to start to, like that's, people are all going to start to kind of make fun of that. But nobody really gave the same harsh treatment to her ex-husband, Chris Martin. And like he was part of that Goop aside as well. But what really did change my mind, I'm not sure if you watched the trial at all of her where she was sued by a man who she ran into while skiing.
Yes.
Okay. This was where I think the tide started to turn for me because she was so funny in that trial and in those moments. There were so many quotes that came from it. And I just thought, actually, this woman seems to have a really good sense of humor about it all. And I think the Goop thing came from her just genuinely living in LA and being a celebrity for so long that she kind of got like inundated with this LA speak. And that's why the branding for Goop is the way that it is. And then she went on a podcast that I'm a big fan of, and that is one of the biggest ones going now. It's Call Her Daddy with Alex Cooper. And Gwyneth Paltrow's chat with Alex Cooper was so good and so relatable. And she talks about all of her famous ex-boyfriends from Ben Affleck to Brad Pitt. And she just was endlessly likable and very, very real. And I think that was kind of where things shifted for me because she did have that period of time where I really only saw her doing things like, she was on Glee. Then I think she married like one of the creators of Glee. And then, which I think was a show that was sort of inherently annoying. And then she was in Iron Man. And then she did Goop. And so she kind of just had adjacency to a bunch of sort of annoying stories. And I think unfairly she got caught up in it. But I would encourage you, watch the Alex Cooper interview with her and your mind might be changed.
Remind me, was she married to Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston got involved? Or was that somebody else? I get confused between all these weird blonde people.
I don't think they broke up I don't think that he, left her. And I don't think she was jilted by his situation with Jennifer Aniston. But when he was dating her, they both sort of had the same haircut, which was funny. And there is a bit of celebrity lore around, and you'll see many a photo gallery online of Brad Pitt having the exact same haircut with the women he's dating.
No way. Do you think that's like some weird subliminal control that Brad Pitt
I don't know.
does? That's like a version of Scientology that I want to be involved in because I'm bald. I am bald, like a bowling ball.
Yeah.
I need to go out with like Cynthia Erivo or somebody like that and just live my life.
You do. Okay, Cynthia Erivo. Okay, back to our list from Reddit because this has triggered a popular one that I've seen recently. And again, it has to do with a press tour or something that is considered annoying. She was listed quite a few times on this Reddit sub of celebrities that people dislike for no reason. And someone said Cynthia Erivo, and then someone else mentioned Sutton Foster. Both annoy me to a level that is not proportional to who they are. And I think it was the Cynthia Erivo press tour around Wicked.
Yes.
It was very, very precious. It was very hand-holdy, some really strange moments that immediately go viral between her and Ariana Grande. But obviously Cynthia Erivo is so talented. I mean, the woman can sing. She can act. Like, she's so good. And I've seen as many interviews with her where she's great and not annoying at all.
But the annoyance wasn't translated to Ariana Grande, was it? It wasn't. Really strange, right? And she's English, but a lot of people don't realise she's English. She has this. She's a wonderful singer, and has done so many amazing things. But like you say, it's just focused on her for no good reason. She doesn't do anything to annoy anybody.
No. Yeah. And the other one that was mentioned a few times was one of mine, Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. Now, the former president of Canada, right?
Yeah. No, that's Justin Trudeau.
Well, same difference. Carry on, Caitlin.
Justin Timberlake, the former president of NSYNC, makes the list. And this person said, I've disliked him since I was a little kid because I thought his hair looked like cauliflower. Yes, the infamous ramen noodle hair that he used to have when he was in NSYNC. Yes. I didn't like him. I mean, I did really, really like him for a time. And then I think his friendship with Jimmy Fallon is what rubbed me the wrong way about him. And then everyone sort of had a new lens on how he spoke about and treated Britney Spears during their breakup and her subsequent meltdown. The allegations that he has had many, many issues or incidents of infidelity with various girlfriends over his lifetime. But really, I don't know why. It was the like canned laughter and the bromance of him and Jimmy Fallon that I think kind of like put me off of him. Then he had the DUI. So I don't know. Again, like, why we think we know these celebrities. Like, why would the Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake thing bother me? I don't know. I don't know what that says about me as a person, that I saw two friends having fun and laughs together. And I was like, this really...
But see, he's another one, because we don't get a lot of the late night shows. You have to watch them on kind of YouTube over here in the UK. Jimmy Fallon is one of these people. He laughs. And I don't know whether it's an inside joke in America and all over the world that watching the man laugh insanely at other people is entertainment, but I find it really obnoxious. He overreacts to everything. He would be that annoying friend in the group that once they leave, everybody talks about.
My guest has, of course, been our beloved UK correspondent, Tony Five. Thank you for joining me to break down a bunch of stuff that doesn't really matter.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Prime delivery is fast. How fast are we talking? We're talking puzzle toys and LickPad delivered so fast you can get this puppy under control fast. We're talking chew toys at your door without really waiting fast. Pee pads, cooling mat, and peg hammer fast and fast. And there's training TREATS faster than you can say sit fast. And now we can all relax and order these matching hoodies to get cozy and cute fast. Fast free delivery. It's on Prime.
We work hard to strike the right amount of intelligence and ignorance. The last show with David Cooper.
It's the last show. I'm Caitlin Green, still filling in for David Cooper, who is on vacation. And sometimes in the world of radio and media, you say something on the air or on your show, and then days later, you're proven wrong. Your theory is proven incorrect. A statement comes out that completely flies in the face of whatever you were talking about. And so I am once again joined with a media expert, an entertainment expert, one of the greatest TV hosts to ever do it when it comes to entertainment reporting. She has a fantastic podcast about all things pop culture, which I am very plugged into and very obsessed with, called In 3. I'm joined now by Danielle Graham, who was with me last week. And we were just talking about the Taylor Swift Super Bowl belief, the all but confirmation that she would be taking the stage for the Super Bowl halftime show. And we were talking about her and Travis, and we were both saying, I just can't see them planning a wedding this year. I don't know how they'll have time. And now...
Yeah, and now an announcement on a random Tuesday afternoon it's floored us all in the best possible way.
Mm-hmm. So they've, of course, announced that she and Travis Kelce, everyone's favorite English teacher and gym teacher, are getting married.
Oh my gosh. I really did think at the beginning of the summer, if it didn't happen sooner, it wasn't going to happen because, as we said, he's really focused and dialed into the football season. He really wants to win. It's likely going to be his last season. And we were wrong, big time wrong. Because she was also rolling out all of these announcements. She had countdowns twice a week. She's had countdowns on her website. We were like, what is this for? So sandwiched in between these countdowns for, different album release covers comes this wedding announcement on a Tuesday afternoon, 1:00 Eastern time. Or this engagement announcement rather.
It's not to say, and again, to underscore our last conversation, we both felt that they were endgame for each other. A lot of people thought that. The timing just did really surprise me because it was a random Tuesday. A lot of times these announcements come out after the morning hits have happened on a Friday. because a lot of celebrities kind of want to let it settle over the weekend. She really was just like, no, I'm here for the promo. And they released this beautiful carousel on their Instagram. She nails the caption. And it just, I don't know, everyone's phones collectively exploded. The number of my group chats that just started going off. The way I instantly was like, oh my gosh, we need to like rejig the lineup for today's show.
I know. And I really love when people know you so well. They know they need to call you or get in your group chat because they just need to share that excitement with you. Even my husband came up from his office in the basement and was like, did you see the news? I was like, yes, we did.
Oh my
so
God.
exciting. I think we should talk about the fact that, so we get this beautiful announcement, the Instagram carousel, as you mentioned, and then Travis's dad goes rogue. So Ed Kelce has gone on a television program and started talking about how they got engaged a couple of weeks ago and how he used the word antsy, that Taylor was getting antsy. And I thought, oh, Ed, please, first of all, you need some media training.
I know.
Number one. Did these people just like DM Ed and get him to start opening up? And he thought, you know what, I will take that. He takes it's like a Zoom television hit. And he starts going off about how Travis was, going to put it off. And then Taylor was getting antsy. So he went in and went ahead with it. And how excited they were and how happy the whole family is and all of that. And how they really did feel for quite some time that this was imminent and it was inevitable because they are so deeply in love. But I thought he kind of just, if I was Taylor, I'd be a little bit annoyed at my soon-to-be father-in-law for going on and talking about the engagement and not giving them the opportunity, because now they are speaking. We obviously saw the New Heights interview. They're sharing. And I thought maybe they'll share this beautiful engagement story and we're going to get to hear about it. And then Ed goes in and scoops them with like not the best version.
Not the best version. And as you said, it is truly a random, very unpolished looking Zoom call that he has. And it was with a TV station in Cleveland and then an Australian radio show. I guess credit to their chase producers for successfully tracking him down and getting a reply. But it did feel a little bit like a phishing scam. Like, it was like sort of felt like he was a vulnerable older figure and didn't quite know that this was like, and I think he probably would have gotten a slap on the wrist. And he also very clearly did not sign an NDA about this entire thing. Because the stuff that he was saying, like the location, the timing of it, then calling her antsy, I thought was probably the worst part of it. But who knows? Like sometimes when you're doing those interviews, I bet you he just didn't even really know what he was saying. But he has become his own little side story in this, which I'm sure Taylor and Travis might not have necessarily wanted. I have to imagine they would have a fairly decent sense of humor about this. Their family seems funny, so I feel like they would get it.
Yeah. They do need a family meeting now, like the Swifts and the Kelces. Yeah. We need a family summit. We need to discuss how we're going to move forward over the next several months, because we can't go rogue and start taking random Zoom interviews and sharing information that maybe they just weren't ready to share yet. It was we got the announcement midday, and then hours later, Ed's appearances kind of took over the news cycle.
Yeah, 100% it did.
And kind of stole the thunder a little bit.
Yeah, because it just became because everyone knew right away that it was pretty hilarious that he was just doing these random interviews, and it became the it's Ed moment everywhere. And I also thought we figured out that he's like the weakest link in the family. And you always have one. And I've been that person where I've unwittingly revealed a secret, or there's always a leaky boat. And I think we know that is Ed Kelce. So especially before they get into wedding planning, especially before they get into any of those details, let alone the conversations. And I mean, I know from being someone who was married not that long ago, the speculation around when you might have kids. My God, we need to lock down Ed.
Ed needs major locking down. He is a sieve, and it proved problematic yesterday. So I'm hoping now, you're right. I'm hoping they laughed it off as an Edism, and now we're just going to teach Ed that we just don't return those DMs, and we don't return those calls, and we don't jump on a bad angled Zoom interview with a local station.
You know how sometimes you see like an aunt or an uncle or maybe a grandparent and their Facebook profile picture or their Instagram profile picture is just like a downward angled camera looking up at them and like they aren't even smiling. It was like the interview version of that. It was so...
I know, and part of it is so sweet because he is just a wholesome, normie soon-to-be father-in-law, and I really do love that. And I think part of the reason that Travis and Taylor are so well-suited is because they have these very wholesome, very normal families. Mm-hmm. They didn't come from any kind of Hollywood machine, so there is that element to it. But Ed just went a little bit rogue.
Yeah, he did.
I'm sure he got a slap on the wrist for it.
Do you think that it is cute? Something that all the Swifties have, of course, pointed out is that now both Taylor and Selena Gomez, who are very good friends in real life, that they're both engaged at the same time. And Selena Gomez and her fiance, music producer Benny Blanco, recently just had sort of like the his and hers at the same time, bachelorettes. Now the speculation has gone on and kind of the prop bets are being placed around whether or not Selena would be a bridesmaid. Will Taylor be a bridesmaid? Who's going to be in attendance at whose wedding? Because Taylor wasn't at the bachelorette party.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. She wasn't. Well, she was all loved up in her 2-week engagement bubble. Yeah. I mean, I think because they are such good friends, it's very possible that if she does choose to have a bridal party, because we really don't know what she's going to do. I think the wedding by design can't be small. There's just too many people that would want to be there to celebrate. And I think Travis loves a moment in the spotlight. I think that's kind of his thing.
Yeah.
And I think if we were to choose from her friends, I think Selena is a really good bet. The one that's a bit questionable to me
I know who you're
would be
say.
Zoe Kravitz.
That's another story this week.
It is, because she and Zoe are very, very close. Zoe Kravitz has sampled Taylor's sourdough when Zoe and her mother were displaced during the California fires. They moved into Taylor's home, very, very close. Mm-hmm. But now Zoe Kravitz has been spotted kind of all over Europe with Taylor's ex, Harry Styles. So that's a bit weird. And who knows what's going to happen with Zoe and Harry in the next few months, if it's just a quick little, good time, not a long time situation. But if they're together come wedding time, do you want your ex-boyfriend at your wedding? I wouldn't.
Could you imagine? I wouldn't.
Thanks for having me. That was so much fun. You know how much I love this. And this is the biggest entertainment story of the year. And yesterday was one of my favorite days to be an entertainment expert because it's just so much fun.
I can't stop talking about it. I'm never going to. Okay, thank you, Danielle.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Your above average intelligence brought you here. It deserves above average absurdity. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Welcome back to The Last Show. I'm Caitlin Green in for David Cooper. It's really such a shame that we're on radio, even though it is one of my most beloved mediums. But it's just because you can't see my next guest, because she is an explosion of color, and not just any color, but like joyful colors. You probably recognize her perfectly pink hair from social media or from TV, where she's hosted so many design shows. She is a designer, a media personality, a creative director, an artist. Please welcome Tiffany Pratt. Thank you for talking to me.
Caitlin, are you kidding me? I love talking to you. This is my favorito. I'm clutch.
Yeah, your approach to design hasn't been one that I've personally had. Now, mind you, like I'm a Luddite. I'm not a designer. I'm no expert in this area. But I have fallen really in my life victim to kind of like the millennial gray of it all. The minimalist sort of Nordic design, the Scandinavian design took over my life because I think it took over my Instagram feed for so long. And I just feel now like I want to break away from the home design version of my closet, which is like black and white everything, sometimes some gray, sometimes some light pink. Ooh, a risk. That would be like my biggest risk was like, oh, sometimes I had like light pink. And I want to mix it up now. So, and I think that's happening. I mean, do you agree? Like you must be seeing this.
We have a come on, come all vibe going on in design
Yeah.
right now. Everyone's being really individual. Everyone wants to hit the streets with who they are and what they love. And more than that, I think that just like you said earlier, like your Instagram was dictating what was going on with what you were choosing.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to step outside of their own personal lines and saying, you know what? I'm not going to buy my clothes and decorate my home so that my Instagram feed looks a certain way anymore. That is gone are those days.
Yeah.
People want to see real stuff now on social media, in life, with fashion. And why I'm saying a come on, come all is also because in interiors and in fashion, people are doing these like high, beautiful, incredible couture dresses with running shoes. People are spending tons of money on, beautiful custom draperies and carpeting, and then they'll grab something from off the street.
Mm-hmm.
It is truly a conversion of just what style means to individual people, and that is my jam.
Yeah, it looks really great. And it looks like it just sort of, I don't know, it has like a depth that I feel like has sort of been missing. And isn't it always the way that one trend comes in and then oversaturates things so intensely that the response to it is then equally as extreme? And I think that's what happened is like, I grew up in this kind of maximalist era of my parents and their home design. And then my response was like, well, when I get my own place, I'm going to go full minimalist and everything's going to be cream and everything's going to be beige. And there's got to be a happy medium where I know that I need to inject some color and some fun into my design. But when you haven't done it before, it can be really intimidating.
Design is about personal comfort. It's not about how you were raised. It's not always about, and I was saying nature or nurture. It's really not nature or nurture. It's really just as we grow and change as people, so do our environment. There are times when we want so much stuff around us because it brings us comfort. And then one day we wake up and we feel claustrophobic and we want everything to be white, light, and bright. And so I think that that's my message always to people is just because we're growing and changing doesn't mean anything. It just means we're humans, our hearts are beating, and we want something new to be, something new to look at. So right now, you need something new to look at. You need to get some stuff in your space that inspires you because you've looked at your same four walls and you're like, okay, I'm over this humdrum. I need something interesting that's going to make me feel excited or inspired or smile. So that's, I think, the greatest encouragement I can give to anyone in design right now, which is like, stop looking at Sally Joe next door and start looking through stuff at thrift shops and antique stores and online and weirdness so that you can just find things and start to really like educate your eye to what is it that I really love? What is it that I'm drawn to? And don't overthink it. If you love it, you run towards it, you get out your credit card. It's just so how many times my entire job is just giving clients permission to be themselves.
The number of experts, and I said this earlier today on the show, I was speaking to 2 experts around budgeting and frugality. The number of people that I talk to about everything from money to design to technology, whatever, what we're really getting at is like therapy. Everyone needs a little bit of therapy, learning how to like take a risk or move outside of your comfort zone or really do things that are in line with stuff that you enjoy and your values. And so if you were like a black, white, and beige addict like myself, if you grew up around, not grew up, but if the design that I was inundated with in my 20s and 30s was all just millennial gray, what's a great place to start by injecting a few pieces of color and some risks?
The truth is that, anybody of anything could know you could go to any big box store and buy new pillows and new blankets. That's easy. What I'm going to suggest is there are elements of a room that people always forget, and it's not 4 walls, it's actually 6 walls, meaning your floor and your ceiling mean everything to a space. So you, instead of worrying about, the pop wall or the this or the that, I always say go ham on a ceiling or go ham on the floor. Get a crazy carpet, wallpaper your ceiling, paint your ceiling, do something crazy on those 2 surfaces because they will change the way the room feels, but they're not impossible to shift. Meaning, if you make carpet a couple of years from now, roll it up. If you don't like the paint color you put on your ceiling, repaint it. I love a wallpapered ceiling. I love a painted ceiling. My kitchen ceiling is wallpapered. This ceiling, you can't see it, but it's purple. Can you see that?
I can see it. And you also have like a pink and white stripe moment happening.
Yeah.
looks so good.
There's so much, like, there's literally no wall in this place that does not have paper on it. And all my ceilings are painted different colors. My kitchen ceiling's peach, my bedroom ceiling's green. Those are the surfaces to add color and pizzazz that really could help change your room. And if you start there, then you layer in the pillows and the strange accoutrement and the art, because it does start to change the way the environment looks in different lights and the way it feels. Because you'd be so surprised if you change your ceiling color, how it tints the room.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think of this, like the square footage you get out of your ceiling. Like it's huge. And the other part of it is, I think a lot of people, like, they can be intimidated by design because you sort of get decision fatigue. And that's why someone like you is so helpful, because you can walk people through the therapy part of it and help them say yes to one thing, no to another. But also, I think people assume it's going to cost you a fortune to redo your space. And that interior design is this fancy, she thing that maybe you don't have a lot of time for. And you're like, look, I just go to Canadian Tire and I get what's on the shelf at the end. But it's not really like that. I mean, even something like IKEA, something as like mainstream and entry level as IKEA, will do these amazing designer collaborations. And you can have whimsical, colorful things that bring you joy in your house for such a reasonable price point. And we have amazing secondhand stores, at least here in the city I'm in Toronto, and you're here too. But also all of these really incredible secondhand markets that happen, like the antique markets that pop up in small towns all through Southern Ontario. I really do think there's no price reason why you can't inject a little bit of this into your space if you feel bored.
And also, I always want to say, there is a big appetite now for people knowing they don't want to spend the money, hire somebody to do something. Retrofitting is such a cool thing. And what I mean by that is, you can buy something super basic at IKEA, go onto YouTube, press retrofit of whatever PAX thing, and you would be so shocked and amazed to see what people are doing with the most basic supplies to completely change the way something from a big box store looks. And what I mean by that is, instead of, calling the built-in guy, instead of getting a new coffee table, you can do so many cool things. You could find stuff off the road and use that material. I cannot tell you how many things I could walk you through my place and you'd be shocked what I have found off the street. And I'm serious.
I would be, because it looks incredible.
This table is from the street. Like, I could sit here and walk you through. You'd be shook of what I have in here from the street. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, design is everywhere. Design is not even just in a store. Design is in your grandparents' basement. Design is on your neighbor's lawn. Design is at the yard sale. And design is in you. You loving something is design. So if you love something, start to create your own curation. If you love something and you're like, but does this go with this? The truth is, you're going to hire someone like me, and I'm going to say, yeah, it does go, because you love it. And let's find a path so that all this craziness makes sense.
My guest has been the exceptionally talented and colorful Tiffany Pratt. You can find more info about her design work at tiffanypratt.com, and of course on Instagram at the Tiffany Pratt. You really can't miss her pink hair. Tiffany, it was a pleasure speaking to you. I am now off to repaint my entire house.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
On top of building this fake volcano for months, I give my daughter Smarty Pants vitamins to support her brain health. So her science fair project sounds more like and less like. And while I may say it's not a competition, of course it's a f***ing competition. Choose Smarty Pants vitamins to support your kid's brain health and save the science fair. Shop on Amazon, smartypantsvitamins.com, or at Target today.
Broadcasting intimate confessions and useless obsessions. You're listening to The Last Show with David Cooper.
This is The Last Show with David Cooper, except he's on vacation and I'm Caitlin Green filling in for him. My next guests are here to talk about a topic that I think plays a significant role in most relationships: money. From budgeting to contrasting spending styles, it's a really important part of a partnership, but it can make a lot of people really uncomfortable, so they kind of avoid it. But we're going to break free of the shackles of avoidance and talk to Jen Smith and Jill Sirianni. Together, they host the Frugal Friends Podcast. Jen has a blog called Modern Frugality. She's written 3 very practical books about frugality. Jill is a thrifting expert. She owns a small business. She's a social worker. So she is well-versed in budgeting and knows how important it is in daily life. And they're both married and I'm married. And I know what a massive topic this is for couples. So thank you both for making time to discuss money with me today.
Yeah, so happy to be here.
It's great. You guys also have you have another book out, and I want to get to the title of this because I just love it.
Yeah, so it's called Buy What You Love Without Going Broke. It published in January, and it's available wherever books are sold. It is definitely our podcast in a book form.
Yeah, I like the ethos of, spending in alignment with your values, because still the reason why everybody works, I think, and everybody makes money is so that they can enjoy their life. So that is a part of the budgeting and frugality conversation that I think can cloud the logic of, well, hey, I still want to buy stuff I like. Like I am admittedly probably your nightmare where I would overspend. And my husband is a little bit more frugal, but I just take so much joy from material goods. And I think he takes more joy from experiences. So that's sort of the bucket that he spends in. He would be more likely to spend on a golf trip. He would be more likely to spend on concert tickets. But I just love a good purse. And so we have different spending styles, but I think where we are aligned is in being a team and having a team approach to our spending and wanting, to have guilt-free spending in each of our own lanes that makes us happy. But I don't want us to be set back just because I happen to like a really fancy purse.
I think that's such a good summary of so much of what we actually talk about in the book, that we've been sold this binary, this myth that either you're a spender or you're a saver, and that saving is good and spending is bad. And we're like, no, there's a radical middle here. We don't have to live in either one of those extremes. We all should be saving. We all do spend, and it's good and fine to spend. Just really honing in on, what do we actually want to spend on? Are we being marketed to? Where is the impulse spending happening that is totally derailing our budgets? And what can we feel really good about spending on is what we want to help.
Yeah, I love that. I love that approach, because it does feel like, I'm never going to feel great about working my butt off every single week. And then at the end of it saying, I can't enjoy going out and getting my nails done or going out for a meal, but you want to do it in a way that doesn't set you back financially. So an article came across my algorithm, and it was sort of like a personal opinion piece. And the writer was talking about how she had opened a joint bank account years before ever getting married to her husband, and that pooling their money together had made them feel more like a team. And maybe this drew my attention because it is an experience that I had, and it felt like it was validating, where I was like, hey, I've done this. And it did really make me feel that way. Before my husband and I got married, we were living together, and we had a lot of friends who maintained separate bank accounts, even though they were living together, and they would have sort of a housing spend or a joint bank account, but that was really it. And we kind of did away with that. It just naturally, it worked for us. And we put both of our paychecks went directly in. And if we had really big ticket items that we wanted to spend on, we sort of discussed that spend with each other over a certain dollar amount. We had forced savings. And I just felt like whenever I thought about getting a raise, or whenever I thought about spending on something for myself, it made me really look at this as a team thing. It wasn't like, what was I just trying to get out of it, but why do I want to make more money for both of us to better set us up for success in life, and perhaps rethink something that would be kind of careless, because I thought, well, I don't know if that's really fair to my significant other.
It's definitely, it's a mental thing, but the thing we have is with bank accounts, it's also a legal thing, right? And the same with marriages. It can be very like getting you on the same page to be in one bank account. It is a mindset shift that, okay, now we're working together. We are a team trying to get our finances in order. And we still have separate retirement accounts. There's still some things that should be separate. They have to be. But it is this mental thing, but you have to be careful with it, because if your relationship status does change, and it can change much easier before marriage, the stakes are a lot lower, then you have to be, live with some level of anxiety. Like, is this person going to take all my money and run? Am I going to have to take all their money and run? So for some people, it could create this low level of anxiety. And so if that's you, then A, maybe you should be like really thinking about the relationship, and B, then maybe it is not for you. And it could be for you in the marriage, or it doesn't have to be. There's really room for both sides, whether married or unmarried.
You also made a really good point, Caitlin, and it was mentioned in the article that you also shared with us, how this couple who joined their bank account together before marriage didn't ever have any conversations about how much they're each putting in, how they're going to spend it. And it just worked out for them. And that is great. But you described in your partnership how there were conversations about that. And we need to now work as a team to figure out if we're spending on higher ticket items, what are we going to do with that? There's a lot of communication that needs to come into play here, similar to having the conversation about moving in with each other and marriage. And, we're sharing a lot of things. So it can make sense that we share a bank account, but not without communication, boundary lines, thresholds, constraints, where we're talking who's contributing what, how are we using this account, when are we going to consult with each other if it reaches over a certain amount of money. These are all really fundamental conversations that unless those have happened, we have no business joining monies.
Yeah, communication, like everything in a relationship, is very key. And I think that I have rose-colored glasses, and I'm happy for you guys to burst my bubble, because I'm certain there are so many people listening who hear me say that and are like, yeah, well, I tried that and it completely blew up in my face. So my experience is unique to me for sure. But I think that I also encounter a lot of friends who have a significant wage disparity in their relationships. Yet, for whatever reason, there might be a viewpoint of one party in the relationship that's cost should be split 50-50. And it can create a lot of friction because one person, let's be honest, is sharing their life with somebody else, but they are broke. And it's by virtue of the fact that they're sharing all of their household expenses and that it isn't relative to their income amount. So is that something that you guys talk about on your podcast? Is that something you guys see in your work? How does this play out for you?
This is just a bummer of a dynamic, honestly, because we never bring 50-50 to anything else.
Right.
So why would we expect it with this?
It's not even like even roommates don't even necessarily charge 50-50 if one person's sleeping in the master and the other person's sleeping in the guest room, right? So it is a big disparity, like to have somebody that just that's looking at it from a math perspective and a square footage perspective versus an emotional and a goal perspective. And I think that's where conversations about what are our, cash flows, what's our income, what's our expenses, who's carrying more of the mental load in the house, who's carrying more of the mental load at work, and figuring out how you can work together. A marriage is nothing if not a team to further succeed in life, to succeed more in life. Like I love living life more when I have somebody I like to come home to who can help me raise these children that are crazy, but that I love, right? And so that is, we have just like a great team dynamic. And that is what a marriage is. It's not, just having somebody around for, to fulfill your physical and emotional needs, right? We are a team giving and taking. And so that needs to be discussed financially as well. In what capacity do we give and take so that everything is equitable and we are helping each other get forward in life faster and in the best direction for us.
My guests are Jen Smith and Jill Sirianni, and together they host the Frugal Friends Podcast. I'm going to have them stick with me for another break to talk about some practical advice around money and how we can have this conversation a little more readily in our relationship so that we stop avoiding it altogether.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Abercrombie Kids is bringing the ultimate first day energy back to school. It all starts with on-trend outfits for that front door photo shoot, plus the coolest tees, shorts, and jeans to take them through the rest of the year. Get them ready for their close-up and keep them comfy too. Make this grade their best one yet. Shop all things back to school, in-store, online, and in the app.
Smart, sharp, and slightly unhinged. Late Night's Fresh Perspective. The last show with David Cooper.
Welcome back to The Last Show. I'm Caitlin Green, filling in for David Cooper, and back to talk about money, how we spend it, and specifically about value-based spending. This is Jen Smith and Jill Sirianni. Together, they host the Frugal Friends Podcast. I'm so thrilled to speak with them because maybe it's the stage of life that I'm at, but the number of my friends who are having conversations because they've hit their 40s about money and how they approach that in their relationships. They're doing so much more future-oriented saving, whether that's for a kid's education, retirement, whatever that looks like. And so when the money comes in every month, I find that they tend to hit a snag when it comes to how it's spent, how that money goes out. Using myself just as an example, I like to spend more money on clothing, on personal care. My husband likes to spend more on experiences. He also likes to spend more money on fitness. He goes to see a personal trainer. I don't need to see a personal trainer. Like, I just go to running or I go to a Pilates class. And so that's kind of like his big ticket item because it's tied to health and because this is something that he really values. He prioritizes it, but it's expensive. And I think that that's where I'm seeing a lot of friction for people is because one person judges how the other one wants to engage in this guilt-free spending. And that's just never a nice place to land when you're in a relationship. So what is your advice to somebody who's dealing with a partner who might be a little bit judgmental of their favorite way to spend? And how can we create a happy medium, that radical middle that you guys were talking about last break?
Yeah, we wrote a whole book about this.
Let's plug the title again.
Yeah, Buy What You Love Without Going Broke is all about values-based spending. And it's about how to identify what you truly value, not what other people are telling you you should value, not what social media algorithms are influencing you to value, but what you truly value so you can spend on that without guilt and say no to everything else. And this is such an important part for both people in a relationship to do and identify, because it's conversations that need to be had so that I know what you value and how highly you value it so that I can relate that back to what I value and how highly I value it so I can understand you. And that understanding is what creates no room for judgment. We have to understand and be able to relate to each other. And so that's how we take out some of the judgment. And I think cool people who like travel and do cool stuff have kind of like almost villainized those of us who may not like to travel but do like to buy things, like clothes and bags and nice things, right? We can't be seen as frugal or money savvy because our joy is found in having nice quality things. But it's false. You can value anything. You don't have to value what's popular right now. You don't have to value anything people tell you. You just need to do some studying of yourself to figure out what you truly love and spend on that in reason and how it aligns with your income without guilt.
We are kind of jumping ahead just a smidge, though. I do want to say that there could be people who it's a rub in the relationship because there's not enough room in the spending plan for it. Like, we're overspending on these things and we're just justifying it because we say, well, we super value it. And so before we even get to that stage, it's important to understand what is the deeper purpose behind this spending. What of my deeper values are these purchases serving for me? And like Jen said, we can value anything, but we can't value everything. And so, yes, I can value health and fitness and what that does for my mental health, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I need to then collect all of the wellness stuff and pay everybody for everything they're possibly offering me. There can be a prioritization, and there can also be an exploration of how can I get at these things without spending money? Because buying the purses, buying the clothing, or paying the fitness instructor is all great, but it is possible if we dig deeper, we understand that, okay, that purchase was actually to help me cope with stress. And what I actually want is better coping mechanisms. What I maybe really needed was time with a trustworthy friend, and that was going to actually meet the need, rather than me now having 5 handbags in my closet and I'm just going to go buy another one the next time I'm stressed. And maybe that's not it, but we do have to explore this and figure out what is going on with my spending. Am I absolutely sure this is what I value spending on? And am I sure that there's not better free ways of getting at this. And one of the things that we can do to get at that is by doing a 90-day transaction inventory. So just going back through the last 90 days of all of our spending. So collecting credit card statements, bank account statements, and essentially using it like a journal. Going back through and not necessarily we're going to remember every single purchase, but the ones that we can. What was happening here? What came just before it? Do I remember any emotion, any kind of triggering event that led me to buy this thing? Do I remember how I felt afterwards? Did it feel really good? Did it solve the problem? Or am I still looking for the solution and that thing's just sitting in my trunk? And that can help to reveal to us where there are patterns that we actually want to shift, what we might be getting after, and how we might be able to do that thing, solve that problem in ways that actually meet the need.
So many guests that have come on the show, and they'll be talking about everything from money to rejection to conspiracy theories, whatever it is. I am always surprised at the number of people where their area of expertise will also kind of boil down to a little bit of psychology, like a little bit of CBT therapy that goes on with every single conversation and all these different things. It really just boils down to like, how are your values working in alignment with your spending or with the way that you are spending your free time or your career or what have you. So the 90-day spending inventory, I think, is a really great way to get some logic and some hard data from you personally plugged in. And then you can allow yourself to be a little bit more curious about what's motivating you to spend or motivating you to maybe not spend enough, or maybe you're feeling particularly deprived in a certain area or you've overspent. One thing I want to say about the 90-day spending inventory, because my husband and I have fairly recently become more detailed with our budgets, ChatGPT is a wonderful tool for this. It took a few iterations and a few back and forths, but eventually it was able to help us structure sort of buckets for spending. And it kind of gives you that format and that kind of framework for inputting that information, because a lot of this can feel intimidating. And for a lot of people, maybe they didn't grow up in a household where they talked regularly about money. Maybe they didn't have this behavior modeled from their parents. So you really are starting from scratch, and it can feel hard and it can feel kind of like yucky. But I think that once you've gone through the exercise or you've sat down for a couple of these money meetings, either, alone or with a financial manager or with your partner, it's really kind of simple. And I always try to say like, oh, well, some of these things are just a spreadsheet decision. And when I remove a little bit of the emotion from it, it can be particularly freeing.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned data earlier, because one of the biggest barriers to doing a transaction inventory is feeling guilt and shame about our previous expenses. Like, I don't want to look back at what I did because I know it's bad. And we only want to look back to have data. We don't want to look back to feel feelings. And so everyone has permission to look back at that 90-day transaction inventory like it's not yours, like you didn't do it. It is just data that you're looking at on a screen or on a sheet of paper so that you can have that knowledge of choices to make in the future. The past is gone. We can't change it. So the feelings, we don't need the feelings about, for this particular past thing. We just want to see that what we can change in the right now and in the future.
And so many people too, I think you imagine something is going to be so much more distressing than it ultimately will be. The fear of the exercise itself actually is greater than the discomfort you're going to feel while you're doing it. So I would also encourage people to reevaluate the fact that, yeah, you might go back and have a few transactions where you're like, well, that wasn't the smartest thing in the world. But it's probably not going to be as bad as you're making it out to be.
Yes.
So I am so happy that the two of you were able to join me today. And if you want to get started with a podcast or a book like me, I really cannot recommend theirs highly enough. It is the Frugal Friends Podcast. And give me the name of your book again.
Buy What You Love Without Going Broke.
I mean, don't we all just really want to do that at the end of the day?
That's the goal.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Okay, Jen Smith and Jill Sirianni, thank you so much for speaking with me today. This has been a real pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Class is now in session, and the UPS Store is here to help you ace arriving on campus. Our certified packing experts can pack everything you need, From desktops to decor. Plus, when you pack and ship with us, you get our exclusive pack and ship guarantee. Your items arrive safe or your money back. Restrictions and limitations apply. To get a 20% off packing coupon and for full details, visit the upsstore.com/packing.
Cooper's Law tells us that the complexity of a relationship is inversely proportional to its explanation. You're listening to The Last Show with David Cooper.
It's The Last Show. I'm Caitlin Green in for David Cooper. Welcome to Therapy Thursday on a Wednesday. My guest, of course, is therapist Gary Direnfeld, the human equivalent of a warm hug on a cold day. Gary, thank you for joining the show.
You know, sometimes I post to my Facebook page me squeezing my eyes together.
Yeah.
And it's my way of sending out a hug.
You're too nice. I can't believe you're real. How are you a real person? And also, the public service of everyone listening having access to your wealth of experience, I think is just great. So I really appreciate you coming on the show. And I want to talk to you about back to school. It's back to school season just about everywhere. You know, some schools in the States, obviously, they go back even earlier than here in Canada, where we both live. But just before we started speaking live, we were talking about the recurring nightmares that many people have around school. I have those, you know, whether you're sitting half clothed about to write a test, or for me, I would forget the combination to my locker, or
Yes, that's mine too.
That's yours? Okay. I don't know what the symbolism here is other than the fact that, like, you know, school is this really formative experience. And I so clearly recall the anxiety I had around getting something wrong, not understanding a test, like, and then getting your new schedule. Like, are your friends in your class with you? Do you know where you're going? I mean, all that stuff. And I'm a little bit anxiety prone anyways. So it's the time of year where, yeah, these like nightmares start to come back to both you and I. And I think the waking nightmare of going to school starts for parents and children and educators.
Yes. So, you know, we have, forget the child for a minute who's going back to school. There's you and me. There's us who represent the parents of these children. Mm-hmm. And we actually have to manage our anxiety lest it falls onto the heads and shoulders of our kids.
Absolutely.
And so I these days, parenting, like you go to the internet and there's a gazillion things you're told what to do, what not to do, and parenting has become so much more difficult. I think the result of the internet hasn't become easier with all this information. So parents have to be mindful not to, believe this or not, over prepare their kids. Right?
Yes.
Because as you keep saying, oh, you're going to have a good time, it's going to be this, and maybe that kid wasn't even thinking about it. But it's like, if my parent is stressed out about this and trying to calm me, maybe I should be more anxious.
Like, it ratchets things up a little bit as you prepare and you shift the focus of the entire household over to back to school time. How do we optimize sleep? How do we make sure that you're feeling emotionally stable? How can we prepare our meals? Like, and you're right, the internet and the algorithms start feeding you all these how to do it.
Yes.
And none of them make sense in conjunction with one another. I mean, someone will start telling you, you need to switch your dinner time to 3 or 4 p.m. as soon as they get home from school, because that's when they're the most hungry. And other people are like, you know what? Don't even worry about eating. Just throw down a bunch of food on the floor, and if they pick it up, then that's great. Like, it really
is. For your feral kids.
It's so extreme, and there's so many things. Like, I just get completely overwhelmed, and my son isn't even in kindergarten yet. He's just in preschool. But I know so many parents who are sending their kids to kindergarten for the first time, and I'm watching them at our daycare, and they are so unbelievably stressed out.
So tense. And it's hard not to transfer that. So parents, be mindful of yourself first, not your child, because you have to come to your child with a very calm disposition, and it's more nonchalant in that school's starting. How's that for you, sweetheart? So tune into your kid, right? Try and understand their experience. And if they're not stressed out, then leave it alone. There's nothing to treat here.
This is
Right?
the thing, because this is why it helps to talk to. I mean, I have a therapist who is still, spoiler alert, still on vacation. So I'm fighting for my life out here by myself. But I think that when you talk to a mental health professional in real life, what you are saying is 9 times out of 10 what I've experienced, not what is being said by parenting, quote unquote, experts and mommy and daddy bloggers and people who write articles. And they have to write these articles to create clicks. And the headlines are just clickbait. So they take this really firm stance to up engagement, not because it's actually valuable advice that you should be applying to your day-to-day life. Because if you talk to a person such as yourself, if you talk to a therapist or to a psychiatrist, they would tell you just, respond to the problem as it presents itself. Like, don't. Yeah.
And if there isn't a problem, if your kid isn't presenting something, there's, like I said, there's nothing to treat. You don't need to go, and you don't need to dig them a rabbit hole for them to go down.
And save your own stressful conversations about it for, after they go to bed, perhaps with your spouse, or to engage in them with a licensed mental health professional like you.
You've triggered something for me.
Yes, please. Burst my bubble.
When they are going, I have so many parents who say, oh, the best conversations I have is when I'm about to turn off the light for my kids to go to sleep.
Okay.
And
I hear that too.
Parents, your kids know that they can stay up longer when they trigger you as the lights are going out.
Oh my gosh. And they are smart.
So this is not the time for those conversations, because now you're delaying sleep and making it harder for them to sleep. So you can certainly say a half hour before bedtime, hey kids, it's a half hour before bedtime. Is there anything we need to discuss? They'll likely say no, because more often than not, there just isn't. But parents love things to discuss. So sometimes kids will come up with something to satisfy the parent. Here's an issue. I had to come up with something. Was it really an issue? Not really. So anyways, and then when you're about to flick the switch and they say to you, oh, can we talk about, set the boundary. No, now it's time to go to bed. So you can, in a sense, train your kids. Parents don't like to hear that language. You can raise your kids to bring their issues to you well ahead of bedtime if there truly is an issue. That way, when it is bedtime, it's to go to sleep.
Well, and my son, he's only 3 years old, but he loves to delay bedtime, whether that's all of a sudden he has a mystery injury that has just started to rear its head when we're about to do lights out. He immediately has to go to the bathroom. His tummy's sick. He wants one more everything, 2 more minutes of all of this. And he's already starting to use this time with me to talk about so-and-so bit me today at school today, even if it's not today and happened 2 days ago. He wants to bring it up then, because he has correctly identified that I'm like, oh, a special
we engage.
Yeah, I'm
That's
like, oh,
right.
a special moment. He's finally confiding in me. But I know there is a piece of this, if not all of it, that's being motivated by the desire for him to delay his bedtime. So that's interesting. And also, like, you do want your kids to get to sleep. And there is a time and a place to discuss all of these things. I mean, something that I've experienced in my time with CBT was that they would recommend setting aside, quote unquote, worry time, a period of time during the day to acknowledge how you're feeling, acknowledge your stresses, process them, but also acknowledge it's not terribly useful to ruminate about this for the whole day and let your worries take control of your mind. And you certainly don't want to do it right before bed.
So with that 3-year-old of yours, and I have a grandson who's turning 3 this weekend, it's the same thing. All of a sudden, parents have, we do this to put our kids to sleep. And here's our routine. We do this, we do that, we read this, we sing that, we jump here, we jump there. And it's like, are you kidding me? Just like, we want our kids to internalize limits, boundaries, and expectations. It's their job to always push back on them.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So your kid isn't doing anything wrong. They're just trying to figure out who owns the power, how much can I get away with, can I do what I want to do?
It's Therapy Thursday on a Wednesday. I'm here with Gary Direnfeld. We are going to come back next and talk a little bit about a topic that I see rearing its head all over social and in my conversations with people. It's therapy speak being misused in real life. And I'm looking specifically at everyone throwing around the term narcissist. So I want to get your thoughts, Gary.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you.
Shop Blinds.com Labor Day Mega Sale happening now. Save up to 50% site-wide plus a free measure. Rules and restrictions may apply.
When the day is done, we're just getting started. The last show with David Cooper.
Welcome back to The Last Show. I'm Caitlin Green in for David Cooper, and it's Therapy Thursday on a Wednesday. I'm here with therapist Gary Direnfeld, and I want to talk to you about a lot of headlines I'm seeing where this was one that came across my desk, so to speak, where I was like, you know what? I have an axe to grind. And it was 8 classic behaviors a narcissist will display when you finally end the relationship, according to psychology, which is fair. I think obviously the world, includes a lot of people who happen to be narcissists or who have other mental health issues. But a new phenomenon that I've seen in terms of clickbait headlines, in terms of podcast topics, and in terms of just regular people who I am friends with and know in my life, using therapy terms and diagnosing people based on their experiences with them, usually negative. So someone goes through a breakup, all of a sudden they're labeling their ex a narcissist. But I happen to know that this person has never been to therapy themselves. They've never worked with a psychiatrist. This is not their field. This is not their area of expertise, but they feel completely confident that the person that they dated for 3 months after connecting on Tinder is a narcissist. So what is this desire to label people? And why does everyone feel qualified to do this? I don't get it. It's driving me crazy.
So a couple of things. First of all, I've been working with those folks who have separated from bona fide narcissists for much of my career. And if there is a narcissist in your life, it could be a partner, a former partner, a parent, your child, extended kin member. They can make life hell. Mm-hmm. Now, having said that, but not everyone's a narcissist. And when we are going through a separation, we typically are at our worst. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you have to be careful about labeling people when they are at their worst. And the other piece is, apropos what you're telling me, Caitlin, is that for some people, it's simply name calling.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
Right? It's just, they're a narcissist. What I suggest to people is rather than, and by the way, if a person is a narcissist, please don't tell them. You will get such a backlash. You will not survive it. If you're talking with your friends, family members, your own therapist, rather than giving them the label, describe the behaviors that you are dealing with that are difficult for you.
Yeah.
And I say that because even if the label fits, everyone is still different, and they will manifest that label differently. Mm-hmm. So if you want to learn how to manage, how to cope, how to deal with someone who's problematic, speak to the behaviors that are challenging for you.
Yeah, and that's, again, in my experience, that's what I've done personally when I've had friends or family members who, over a sustained period of time, their behavior has been impacting me in a negative way. So it comes up in therapy. It would take a long time and many, many experiences for anyone I've ever talked to in therapy to say, I think this person maybe has an undiagnosed insert issue here. And
Yes.
you should look into that, maybe get a few books on it. Here are things I would recommend. And they can help you deal with those behaviors and how to respond to them and how to maintain your own boundaries. But like you said, it does feel a lot like there's name calling going on. And I'll see it, people will do it with celebrities. People will do it all over social media. You'll see it in the comment section. Oh, this is classic narcissist behavior. This is narcissism at its finest. And it's weird to me that everyone is so comfortable using mental health terminology as if they are an expert. And it's like weaponizing it in a way that I don't think is helpful at all.
Yes. It is the diagnosis du jour. I'm on social media too much for my own good. Mm-hmm. And I have seen such an increase in posts about narcissism from persons who are not mental health professionals, by the way.
Yeah.
And so some of their guidance is actually quite good, and some of it is so misplaced. And all of it precludes, but what are the behaviors you are dealing with and how are you managing yourself?
Yeah.
Okay? Because we can set a person up to look like a narcissist by our behavior.
Mm-hmm.
If, Caitlin, if you're going to name call me, you better believe I'm going to defend myself. Then as I defend myself, you're going to tell me I'm in denial. Then in my anger of your name calling, I may strike out. I may act, rudely, inappropriately to you. I may badmouth you to others. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to say, oh, it's those flying monkeys. Direnfeld has unleashed the flying monkeys. So, we always want to examine what are we bringing to the party first? Mm-hmm. How are we managing? How might our disposition, our way of replying and responding, how might that be triggering to the other person itself?
Mm-hmm.
And, again, and if you're in a separation, dollars to donuts, you are not performing at your best with your former partner.
Yeah, those are some of the, that's very, it's a very high stress situation, and it's where a lot of decisions and logistics have to be ironed out amidst a ton of emotions, and the stakes feel really high because it's around stuff like your finances and your children. So yeah, I've seen a lot of worst case scenarios pop up with friends who have gone through separations. It's not great. And I also feel a little bit too, like for the people who do have genuine mental health disorders, like narcissistic personality disorder, or, previously it was OCD. I saw people kind of just calling things OCD all the time if they like their house to be really clean. And I almost feel like it minimizes what those conditions are actually like. And it creates kind of like this monolith of stereotypes around that person. And then everyone's just like, oh, well, I'm just a bit OCD about that. I'm like, I don't think you actually know what OCD maybe even looks like, because it can be that somebody has to wash their hands so many times that their skin starts to peel off their hands. It's not that they have a really clean house.
Right. So again, we always want to come down to what are the behaviors? What am I doing that may contribute to this? Mm-hmm. What do I have to take responsibility for? Whether it's OCD, whether it's narcissism, whether it's borderline personality disorder. And here's the rub. I can fit in some criteria for all those things myself.
Yeah,
we
for sure.
all
could.
We all could, right?
Yeah.
So, what do we want to attend to? Have I been called a narcissist? I sure have. Have I been called needy? I sure have. Have I been called OCD? I sure have. So be careful with the labels. Discuss the behaviors.
It's really hard to strike a balance for many people between being passive, which is, kind of people pleasing and being steamrolled, or being aggressive, which is like over responding to something and starting with conflict. And I always think about trying to strike that balance where you're assertive. You can explain how you're feeling.
Yes.
You can kind of hold on to things, but you're also open to there being a positive outcome that comes from this. You're open to this working out, and you want to approach it from a place of communicating with another person, and kind of everyone walking away feeling a little bit better versus the need to be like a winner, a loser, etc.
And, if you are stressed out in relationships, it's actually helpful to practice meditation and mindfulness. Meditation is the practice of learning to recognize yourself when you're triggered and then releasing that tension. Mindfulness is the practice of putting meditation in play when you're communicating with others.
Everyone listening should feel reassured by the fact that, a wise therapist such as yourself experiences stress and has to check yourself, even when it comes to like clocks on a radio hit. So I love that. I love Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday so much. And thank you, Gary, for joining to make everybody listening feel a little bit better.
Great to be with you.
That's it for tonight's show. But tomorrow, don't miss this. David Cooper calls into his own show with boots on the ground reporting from Burning Man, answering the age-old question, if an orgy tent collapses in the desert, does it make a sound? I'll also get into the surprising benefits of having grandchildren and of not having a summer job. Plus, if you missed any of tonight's conversations, you can catch the podcast wherever you listen or at lastshow.pizza. Thank you for spending your evening with me. I'm Caitlin Green, in for David Cooper, and I'll be back tomorrow.
Big Brother is back.
Let's freak it go!
This summer, the game gets hotter, the alliances get trickier, and the blind sides, brutal.
Just a roller coaster of backstabbing and craziness.
New house guests, new twists, same epic drama.
Bro, I'm gunning for you. You're my number one target.
Who can you trust when everyone's watching?
Game on, baby.
Big Brother. All new Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays on Global. Stream on Stack TV.